welcome to Small Business, Big Dreams with Estee Stein. We are all here for a purpose, but sometimes we don't know what that purpose is. So when you pair your talent with your passion, you can make a living out of it. That becomes your purpose. You can even help other people with it. This show is about meeting people, business people, entrepreneurs who took their dreams and made it a reality. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to my friend, Michelle Mozes, a graphic artist and business mentor. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Estee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you because you and I actually met on Instagram.
Yes.
And we actually live in the same neighborhood, but we didn't know each other.
I know it's wild that it takes something like this to bring us together, but what better place to meet, right?
I'm so excited because what happened was I saw you and you were posting video, and a lot of people are uncomfortable on camera, but you seemed very natural. You seemed very genuine. And I'm wondering, what's your background? Because you're a graphic artist, designer, and there was something with cartoons in there. So Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what you do now and how you came to be?
Yeah, so ironically, I was really shy. I'm an introvert, anxious by nature, and I wanted to avoid the camera. I wanted to avoid being seen by people, and I originally pursued illustration. So I was a comic artist, and it was really nice to just be in solitude, draw, illustrate. And for fun, I posted my comics to the internet and I went completely viral. It exploded. People around the world were sending in fan art and telling me that I changed their life with my comics, and the stories keep them motivated and excited about life. And I was just getting really nice feedback, and people were sending in fan art of my characters. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe there's something more to what I want to do, because this feels really good. It gave me all the good feels.
And when was this? Was this in college?
This was even before college. This was in my senior year of high school. So I was like 17 years old, and I had a viral
What year
comic.
was this about? You don't have to be exact.
I'm going to say like 2004, 2005. So this long time ago. And then when it came to college, I had to decide what I want to do. And I really dabbled a lot because I was like, okay, I want to be in media and I want to be an illustrator, but also I want to be around people. So I studied illustration deeper, but I was also looking into animation, TV, film, and it was fun exploring all these different outlets, but I also wanted to make money while in college, so I was doing design because it just felt like an easy moneymaker for me. And what's funny is that people assume like, oh, you illustrate, you can design. They're very different skill sets, so I kind of taught myself graphic design, and people were hiring me. Like, I didn't have to market myself or advertise. It was just word of mouth. One person, it started with 1-2 people. They told their friends about me, and I built a graphic design freelance business. And then doing that, I was like, well, there must be more to it than this, because people were like, my business is exploding. We're making so much money. And I was like, this is fun. So then I started consulting, and really never advertised myself as a consultant. But over the years, my clients' results were so good. And I'm like, it's not just the design. I was also helping them with strategy, because I saw where there were gaps in their business. And I find that whenever you bring anyone from the outside into your business, they can see the holes better than you, because when you're so knee deep in your business, you can't quite see it the same way as someone on the outside looking in. And I also love storytelling because I was doing, film, TV, illustrations, comics. I'm a natural storyteller, so branding, there's so much to it than just design. There's a lot of storytelling involved. And then I found like my clients each had their own story, and the birth of their business has a story, and everything's a story. And through helping them find their unique story and what makes their business unique, they were making a lot of money. And I'm like, wow, this is mind blowing. I love this. And then I kind of became like the rebrand strategist, helping businesses doing well do even better by being authentic and finding their story. So to go back to your question about being on video and seeming authentic and comfortable on camera, I always found that there was a story to share. There's a story in our everyday. I know people like sometimes are like, oh, what do I post to Instagram, and what kind of content should I share so that people buy my stuff? Share your story. What did you learn today? What did you observe today that you didn't notice before? What perspectives do you have on life? What's your opinion on this? There's a lot going on in politics and in the media. What's your perception? What's your perspective? What's your unique idea? So So yeah, I just like naturally, like no one taught me this, it just naturally kind of was intuitive. And I would just show up on camera and share about my day and share about what I was working on and talk about my opinions and share things I like.
So now I want to walk it back a little bit, because you started off by saying you were doing illustrations because you were such an introvert.
Yeah.
So how does one person go from illustration, hiding behind what you're writing in your cartoons, to all of a sudden getting on camera and speaking? Because so many people have a difficult time showing up on camera.
I love that question, and it's purpose. When you feel like you have a bigger purpose and mission that's bigger than you, and you just lean into it, it's going to make you do a lot of uncomfortable things, like being on camera if you're not the type to be on camera. So when clients come to me and they're like, I'm shy, I can't grow a social media following, I'm like, suck it up, because if this is what you want, then this is the kind of person you're just going to have to be. So growing into who you want to be, the version you want to be, build the life you want to build, it's always going to come with sacrifices. You're always going to have to let go of comfort and a side of you that feels natural now, but you can step outside of that to fulfill your purpose.
So I love that. And now I have another question for you, because that's how my brain works. And I'm wondering, so what's your story? Like, how did you go from there's something bigger than me, I need to tell my story in order to get on camera, be comfortable, let my ego go, and say what I need to say?
A lot of the inner work. I also had these periods of depression whenever I was in the wrong niche or doing what I felt wasn't big enough for me. So when I was the illustrator, noticing there was something bigger happening, I felt myself losing a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And then when I was the graphic designer, and I also built a thriving agency, growing that freelance business into an agency where I hired employees, and then I suddenly slipped into that like depressive state again, lack of fulfillment, lack of purpose. What does this mean? Where do I go from here? And every time I felt that way, I was like, this is a sign. This means I'm ready to go bigger. And some people feel that way and they're like, oh no, what's wrong with me? I have to fix this. But when I feel that way, I'm like, it's not fixing, it's leaning in, it's moving toward what you feel you're supposed to do.
But how do you come out with that self-awareness? Because you can't fix what you don't know is broken. So how did you even have the self-awareness or the mindset to say, you know what, something's not working, I need to get quiet? Did someone tell you that? Or did you just have this internal dialogue?
This is going to be such a woo-woo answer, but sometimes you just know there's something more. And whenever I speak to clients, like right now, I have a client base of women who just feel like they're meant for more. And it's so funny because when people slide into DMs and want to work with me, it's always, I feel like I'm meant for bigger and I don't know how to get there. And I can't even explain why I feel that way, but I just know there's another level to this. And I'm like, you're speaking my language. I know exactly how you feel. Let's work on it. And then of course, you know, it's taking the right steps toward getting to that level of the business you want to run. And some people feel like they're meant to make more money. Some people feel like they're meant to make more impact, sometimes both at the same time, because impact can equal money if you know how to monetize it. And some people feel like they're meant to be volunteering more. Or some people feel like there's always that deeper feeling of, I should be doing more, or there's more meant for me, or I'm not reaching deep enough into what I'm really meant to do. And it's really just closing that gap.
And can you tell me a little bit about your background? I think you mentioned you went to Brooklyn College, and I think I saw something in your byline about Disney, maybe? Did I make that up? So tell me your experience.
So I really wanted to work for Disney as an animator, specifically a storyboard artist, which is very similar to comics. Like that was my strength. I love camera angles and visual storytelling, and being able to be the storyboard artist that helps the animators decide what the final version should look like felt very exciting to me. And that was all I wanted to do. I traveled to LA. I tried getting on interviews. I was interviewed by Disney, which meant dropping my life in New York to live in Anaheim or LA. And I really wasn't ready to make that switch because, again, there was that deeper feeling of, I don't think this is it. And when you want something badly enough, you go after it. And I always had this like tinge of resistance that made me, and it wasn't, there's resistance that's fear, but then there's also resistance that's like, not this path, the other path. And I was getting that version of it, like, no, you're meant for something else, this isn't it. So like here I was actually seeing my dreams come to fruition. I was getting the right connections. I had this huge following on social media. My comics were being seen by people all over the world. yet at the same time, I was like not happy, not feeling fulfilled, feeling like I was empty, feeling sad. It was hard to get out of bed in the morning. And I'm like, this is not the life I'm meant to live. And that's where I was like, okay, Disney sound like, I'm still a huge Disney fan and I've seen all the movies, but I was like, I don't think I'm meant to work there. And then, you know, the more I researched it, I was like, oh, it would require so many hours in the day and I want something with more freedom, and the math wasn't mathin', you know? So I ended up, and then the graphic design business was taking off. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And I kind of just let that flow for several years till I hit that wall and I was like, nope, this doesn't work anymore.
That's amazing. Is there a client, like a dream client that you love working with, that you've been able to help them rebrand, that you just want to talk about because you love working with them all day long?
Yeah, so this client that I'm going to describe is like several people, because I have been so intentional to position my brand to get just the clients who are ready for the work that I do with them. Because for so many years, I was getting all the wrong people who were like, work faster, we have a deadline, fix this, adjust that, change the color, like not trusting my expertise in design. And I was like, no, I want the clients that fully trust me and themselves. And I always find that when people don't trust the person they hire, there's a lack of trust in themselves as well. So my dream client trusts herself. Excuse me. She trusts herself even when she's not seeing the results anyway, because she wants what's on the other side so badly. So going back to what I was saying before about how like I know I'm on the right track when I want it so badly and there's resistance, but I'm going and I'm fighting for it anyway. The clients I attract are the women who are fighting for the dream. They're fighting for the goal. They know exactly what they want on the other side. And it's not just having a successful business and making money. There's so much more to it than money. So my dream client is the woman who knows there's more to it than money. It's what money unlocks for her. It's the life she gets to live because of it. And also, my brand promise is attracting premium clients effortlessly, where you're having so much fun marketing that you don't even realize you're marketing and your brand practically sells itself. And it's really the woman who's like ready for that. Like she's ready to lean in, have fun, be vulnerable, be open to testing. Some people are like, no, it needs to be perfect. Like, no, be open to testing. Love the process, love the growth process, because entrepreneurship is gonna throw you into that whole self-growth thing where you're gonna have to face your purpose and face what you really wanna do and be honest with yourself. And just to add to that, there are people who will comfortably continue a life that feels halfway, where they're quietly settling, like in the depths of their heart and soul. They're like, I know that this is not where I'm meant to go, but maybe I'm not meant to go further, or that would be hard. That would require a major sacrifice. And I burned down a successful agency that was making multi-five-figure months, and I just let it go because I was like, I know I'm meant for more. I wasn't working with the aligned clients, but like now that I'm working with these magnificent women, I call them my wild unicorns because they're not normal, you know, and that's what makes them so beautiful and so enthusiastic about the work, even when it's hard. So that is my dream client.
So now take me through the work, because people may not know what branding is or what a rebrand is. And we're talking about businesses, but now we're talking about personal brands. So just let's walk it through a little bit so it could clarify it for people. Okay,
so branding, obviously, a lot of us know that branding is how your brand is presented, how your audience perceives it. I'm more interested in the rebrand. It's specifically a point in time, and I've worked with multi-million-dollar companies and small businesses that go through this phase at one point or another. Once they hit success, it's like, okay, I've plateaued. How do I go to the next level? Most of it is identity and mindset work, and then strategies. I always say strategy will amplify what's working within. But if you're feeling like something, you're feeling that resistance, what's my purpose? Is this really what I want to do? Is this really where I want to go? No strategy will save you, because you're going to keep hitting the same wall till you do that inner work. So I love rebranding because it requires a lot of that inner work, because you don't get to the next level without it. And I also find that when people outgrow their businesses, because they have this big vision, but they're still operating the business from an outdated identity, an outdated strategy, an outdated mindset. So I'm literally taking my clients through this identity, mindset, and strategic journey in order to build the brand they know they're meant to run. So again, like when I let go of the version of my business that wasn't working in order to lean into a version that feels more aligned, which right now I'm doing just brand design and coaching. So I have masterminds and brand design packages. So we're literally rebranding from the inside out.
So on a more practical level, are you choosing fonts with them? Are you choosing colors? Are you choosing logos? Are you helping them with taglines when you say to rebrand?
Mostly messaging. We're looking at how people are positioning their brands as one of a kind. So I say, don't sell your skill, sell your magic. And I teach my clients how to find their magic, which is basically my code word for the transformation you get your clients to. And every business transforms people on one level or another. And when you know how to position that as life-altering and one of a kind, people see the unique value in it. They're not questioning like, oh, should I buy that? Is that for me? When your message is so clear and conveying exactly what you do, who you help, how you help them, and how you do it in a way that they haven't even tried yet. You're doing it like nobody else. And you can even reflect back, like you've tried this and this, but you haven't tried it my way. Then people are intrigued and they're excited to invest because they're like, okay, this is where the transformation is going to happen. This is where I'm going to actually see results.
And then once they figure out what their story is or their purpose is, then how, because I'm such a practical person. So then what happens? Like they magically say, okay, I want purple because it's magic. Like how does that come to fruition?
So I'm always looking at the category of one strategy. Like how can we set you apart from everyone else? So if everyone in your industry is using purple, we're not using purple. We're going to find what makes you you. So yes, I do weave a lot of story into brand design. Sometimes people get their palettes done, you know, like to know what kind of colors match your complexion. And they'll be like, well, I'm a spring or a winter. And I'm like, okay, we can use that toward your brand design. We can weave that in if that feels really true to you. Some people are like really into their palette. And I always say, wear your brand like a second skin. Like I literally want you to wear your brand like a second skin, where it gives you so much confidence that when you're confident, people feel it. They're like, oh, that's someone who knows what she's doing. That's someone who like is really proud of her work and what she does and how she presents herself. And people really do feel that on social media and beyond. So
now you didn't study that in college. You started to tell me that you studied media and television. So talk about that a little bit, like, because you also said you're self-taught, like you taught yourself graphic design. Like how does that even happen?
That's a great question. I don't even know, but I really did think I was going to work for Disney. Like there was no doubt in my mind that was happening until I realized I didn't want that anymore because the graphic design was taking off. But it really was just the natural organic success of that business. I also applied for jobs I was so underqualified for as a freelance designer, where I basically like walked into like this luxe jewelry company and they were like, okay, so can you design our website and help us with the brand for it? We want to be a category of one and really set ourselves apart. And this was during like right around the time of the recession in 2008. And I was like, sure, I can do that. And I just winged it. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, which wasn't as saturated back then. So it was like, you know, I was like scrambling to find the right resources. And I kind of just went for it. I put myself in a lot of situations that were uncomfortable and stretched me and made me learn on the go and on the fly. And like I said, constantly feeling underqualified is how you learn. That's how I learned as a young, 19, 20, 21-year-old. And then really my business took on a life of its own. Everyone just knew me as the graphic designer. But when I outgrew being the graphic designer because I saw my clients making money and being so successful, that's where I was like, ooh, I don't even want to be known as the graphic designer. There's so much more to what I do. And that's how I found my niche, is rebranding and helping people who want to attract these premium clients through the brand, through telling their story that feels like a second skin to them. I was like, hey, that's my thing. And
so you got your education on YouTube? Or how did you learn like Adobe Photoshop? Like how did you even do that?
A lot of dabbling. When I was a kid, my mom had a friend who had a graphic design school. So I spent a lot of time there. I listened to the classes. I think I was the youngest one in the class. I was like 8 years old at the time. And I would just listen, pay attention, picked up on a lot. And then we had access to Photoshop in the house on our old PC with the floppy disk. Remember that? And I would just practice, a lot of practice. And I used it mostly for illustration. And I started dabbling with logo design, and I didn't know structurally what a logo is supposed to do or look like, but I started noticing patterns from what bigger companies were doing. And I noticed that like Nike simple, Apple simple? What if it's about simplicity? Instead of telling people what you do, what if you were telling a story or a message and you stood for something really big that people connect with and adapt to and want to identify with even, you know, like you create a culture that way. So I know it sounds like so crazy, but like I noticed these patterns and I was like, this is what branding is. I like it. This is fun because you get to tell a story and you get to connect with people through it. The same way I was doing that with my comics, you know, connecting with people all over the world. A logo can do the exact same thing. So I was very intrigued by design for that reason. And that's why I guess I had the motivation to keep learning, even though I had no idea if it was going to be successful. And then when it was, I just kept going with it. I just kept going after that.
And you got your clients word of mouth?
Yeah, totally word of mouth.
Nice, really nice. And do you mind my asking, what was your comic strip about? Yeah,
so I actually wrote a romantic comedy initially, which took off. I never finished it, I'm embarrassed to say. Not only that, but the website that hosted it went out of business. So I can't even it's not even in the archives anywhere. I can't even find it if I try to Google it. So that was really silly. I literally doodled it in class and then took photos of it or scanned it and posted it to the internet. But people loved it. And then because of the success of that, I wrote another comic, which I ended up self-publishing that my kids enjoy reading. So I have hard copies of that one. And it's so cute watching my children enjoy it. Like, who knew so many years later that someone would still enjoy my comics? At least someone does. And that was about a band that accidentally becomes famous. So that also picked up a big audience. And yeah, both comics were doing really well till one day I decided, you know what, this is not what I want to do anymore. It helped that the website shut down. So I had to find another track.
And so now you teach women, you do group classes, you do masterminds. You want to speak about that, what you're doing now?
Yeah, so now I have masterminds. I do one-on-one coaching. You know, the biggest mistake I see a lot of entrepreneurs make, because I also work with multi-million-dollar businesses, I work with bigger brands, I work with small businesses, and it's really shifting the messaging from skill to magic. So what a lot of people do wrong is they'll talk about, here's what we do really well, and they load up their marketing with features that they're like, oh, people are gonna love this, look how many features we have. And I see service-based providers doing the same thing, where it's like, you get this many therapy hours with me, and I have a cozy space, and we'll have X amount of sessions, or fitness experts, we'll do X amount of workouts, and people are so focused on the deliverables. But what actually gets to change for people when they experience those deliverables, and it's really life altering, right? I also found for myself, when I sold design, people were experiencing wealth, and when I sold business coaching, people were experiencing better relationships with themselves, with their spouse. I got a few messages actually from people who were like, oh, I got a personal trainer, I started working out. And I was like, wow, that's the power of I could say I sell coaching, I sell hours with me, and here's how many calls we have a month. But there's something much deeper going on, and that's the transformation, that's the magic. And a lot of business, and especially people in hospitality and service providers, and even if you sell a product, there's always a deeper shift happening within people because they're experiencing your magic, that transformation.
I love that, and that's amazing. But I also want to ask you, because there's a lot of people there online selling courses, and some of them are good and some of them are not so good. And I'm wondering, have you taken any of these courses? Are there any that you recommend, or is there somebody you would avoid, or is there a type of course you wouldn't recommend? Can you speak to that?
So I love this question. Yeah, it's definitely become a sleazy industry where it's very hard to know who to trust. As someone who has invested in a lot of courses before I started selling my own, I realized that as a consumer of learning, I wasn't really looking for information. I was looking for people who would bring out the best in me. So whenever you're shopping for the right coach or mentor, or really anyone who's going to carry you to your goals, and goals are precious, your dreams are precious. You don't just gamble them away, especially with money and high risk situations. What you want is to find someone who totally brings out the best in you and wants, you want to be a better version of yourself when you're around that person. And I believe to some degree, everyone has that ability, but it's always finding the right match where what you do best overlaps with what people want to experience and what they're excited to pay for, because it gives them access to that experience. It gives them access to growth and change. So I know my specific clientele. I know what I can promise those people. But I have turned people away. I have said no to people who I feel are not ready for the work that I do. I really want to do everything with integrity and honesty. And I also am, like I always say this in my marketing, I'm not teaching you more information. I feel like you can get free information on YouTube these days and Google and AI. There's nothing that can't be learned. But again, becoming the best version of yourself, wanting to grow, wanting to get healthy, wanting better relationships, wanting wealth, all comes with a deeper shift. So I make it so clear that if that's not the work you're ready for, you know, it's not for you. But also as someone who's invested, I'm always like, okay, who makes me feel really good? Who makes me think differently? Who shifts my perspective on life itself? Who helps me lock into my purpose and keep going even on days that it's hard? Who's going to carry me when life is throwing the most chaotic moments at me? And that's really what I'm looking for when I'm investing in a mentor, a coach, a guide, a personal trainer, anyone I'm investing in. They need to be able to carry me through it.
Are there any people like, so are there warning signs? I mean, obviously you don't have to say specifics, but are there any red flags where you're like, oh yeah, this is not going to work?
Yeah, anyone who promises instant results, stay away. Like, oh, in just 5 days, you're going to lose 10 pounds. Like, no, stay away from those people, because you know that's not real. You know, like, they're trying to motivate. Like, I don't think people who do that are like evil people, but I think they're trying to like get people motivated to buy and motivated in themselves. Like, oh, anything's possible, but there are honest ways to show people possibility on who they can become in a realistic time frame.
And you have a course going on now, right, that you're launching?
Yeah, so I have a mastermind coming soon where we scale your magic and you learn how to take that life-altering skill that you already have and position it as something premium clients are so excited to buy, and because it changes their life, and you know you're capable of doing that. So might as well have your brand convey that so that people know where to find you.
And Michelle, if they want to sign up, how do they find you? They DM you on Instagram, or?
DM me on Instagram at Michelle Mozes, or visit my website, michellemozes.com.
Michelle, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. It was so much fun.
Yes.
And keep watching us, because we are going to be bringing you lots more people who will show you how they had their journey, they found their purpose, and they're living the dream.